Everything I've done with SPEZIAL from the very beginning, my main source of inspiration is my youth and my upbringing, and a lot of the subcultures laid the foundations for a lot of culture that we see going on around us now. So everything from kind of, you know, the electro and hip hop and the b-boy stuff through to football and the whole casual culture that we have in the UK. So that's always been an influence that I really draw on for inspiration. I felt that Goldie, he kind of almost personifies the brand values that SPEZIAL has.
I was always fascinated with SPEZIALs in the first place because I've kind of got a lot of stuff. I'm of the era where I'd kind of be scared to walk down the street with a Cecchini on because I might lose it to a set of, you know, rowdy football fans. So we'd always be on our toes when we'd be wearing a tracksuit top. That really isn't a problem these days, you know what I mean? But that was a problem in the 80s. And I just like the idea of how it's kind of come from the terraces, but yet it's moved on. And it's just about that it's a very English look. It's not too overblown, like Super Goose, big fat. It's more streamlined and it's a bit more kind of like, the lads have arrived, you know what I mean? I've got to work in this and I'm all right, do you know what I mean? Arrington, what, me? I kind of like what SPEZIALs has in that sense. I guess it's a bit like the Madeleine cake for me. It reminds me of good cooking, good home cooking.
In the early 80s, Adidas did a range called Freizeit, which was a German word for free time, and they did a lot of almost like geography teacher style shoes. There are a number of them, Corsica, Palermo. What I wanted to do was I wanted to pick up the idea of that shoe, the idea of doing these kind of almost like route shoes, but create new versions of them. These are called the McCartan. I took the name from a friend of mine who's a serious Adidas collector. Basically what I did was we sat down with the developers and the designers in Germany and looked at a bunch of different old leisure shoes. I thought we want to come up with something that looks like something from that era but isn't from that era. So it's got this notorious metal trefoil here. The sole unit, we've used the vintage gazelle, and the foxing around the side is very similar to the Albrecht SPEZIAL. This to me is like the successor to the Albrecht. It's like the Birkenstock syndrome. It's something that doesn't really look kind of hype and cool, that is kind of appropriated and worn in a different way. This is the Adidas Spiritus SPEZIAL. This is based on a shoe called the Adidas Spirit. You would be amazed the amount of difficulty it is to get a shoe like this right. The size of the toe box, the colours, the materials, the upper specifications. I don't know of too many pairs of Spirit. Bobby McCartan has a pair and I have a pair, and we also had some catalogue images of them, and there's slight differentiations in them. One of the things with a lot of vintage Adidas shoes was they were made in different countries, so you get these slight fluctuations and slight differentiations in them. We've gone for this darker gum. I'm very pleased with the way this has come out. This is not a hybrid, this is a one-to-one reissue of an old shoe. As far as I'm aware, it was only ever appeared in the Austrian catalogue. I felt it was such a great silhouette that I pushed the team to do a second colourway of them. So when we were originally designing the apparel for this collection, one of the big inspirations was looking at footwear colours. So for example, there's the Ardwick Anorak, which is based on the Adidas Ardwick, which was in the first SPEZIAL range. Echoes of the Romanian Dublin, but it's not the Dublin colourway, but it's kind of, you know, with the Romanian Dublin you've got this darker gum against the blue. These will inevitably be popular with a certain audience who are into that old kind of gum sole City Series shoe.
Right, SPEZIALs. My favourite piece, the Beckenbauer. Check this out. A little bit of Savile Row kind of vibe, elbow patches. See, now that feels like I'm going to go and walk the dogs now, you know what I mean? Or I'm going to get down the pub with my mates, or I've got to land and have it.
Got the Wensley GT, a follow-up to the Wensley SPEZIAL from last season. The original Wensley was taken from a Russian fencing shoe, and this is also taken from a Russian shoe. I wanted to give some continuity, almost create a lineage in the same way we're kind of creating a lineage with the leisure shoes. So I just like the idea of these being incredibly pared down and basic, almost like the shoes that Adidas were producing, the BW Army shoes that they were making for the security forces. in Germany. It's kind of like on that same sort of tip. Again, going for this kind of darker gum. Nice material mix on the upper. We had a lot of challenges with getting the right materials for this. The earlier samples, it was a much furrier suede, but this to me looks a lot sleeker and a lot cleaner. This shoe is the Winter Hill SPEZIAL. Winter Hill is a hill that overlooks my hometown where our TV transmitter was. When I travel back north, when I see Winter Hill transmitter, I always know that I'm back home. These were inspired by a pair of high-top boots. They were a signature boot for a German mountaineer called Messner, Reinhold Messner. So what I did is basically looked at that as a starting point. The thing that really drew me to the Messner boots was that it had this colour blocking here. What I've always tried to do with SPEZIAL collections is have a diversity in there. So have a running shoe in there, have some gum sole stuff in there, have something that reflects the leisure shoes in there. And this is, to me, is like a successor to the Mountfield. We did the Mountfield and we did the Mountfield too. A lot of challenges on getting the colours right with this, just making sure it kind of balances the shoe. The earlier prototypes, this was much darker. When you look at the shoe, you'd be amazed the difference a few shades of grey can make. This colour block in the sole is actually a block, it's not just painted on. Sometimes when you see colour blocking on shoes nowadays, it might be painted, but you know, we were insistent about kind of getting it done as it would have been done back then. You've got the metal branding on the side, that's something that was synonymous with a lot of Adidas hiking outdoor products. Super happy with those, really like them actually.